Well, good day, my friends, and Happy New Year to everyone out there. I guess this might be just a general video. I have a few things I wanted to talk about, but I'm going to actually start by saying I made a video yesterday that I was going to upload, and I spent some time on it, and it dealt with fame and the anxiety and mental illness and addiction that comes with that fame and why so many musicians die young. And somehow during the transferring process to my computer, the file got corrupted and it wouldn't upload. And in my haste, I had already deleted the original from my camera, and I didn't make an audio recording like I often do. So I thought, well, screw it. I'm just going to start right over and make another video altogether. And I might briefly touch on those subjects in this video, but generally this video is more about, it's more of a, hey everybody, it's New Year's, what are we going to do in this new year to make our lives better, right? And there's two lines of thinking on this. Either there's some people who say, oh, you know, it's just another year and everybody makes resolutions and nobody follows through on them. And then other people say, well, you know, it is a time for change. It's a time when you can renew your method of operation, if you will. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. Not just with my channel, but with my life, with my relationships, with my motivation. I want to take more action on the things that I really want to do with my life. But sometimes I get drugged down by the bullshit of life. And so those moments of clarity, those are the moments I want to celebrate. And I feel like I'm having a moment of clarity. It's just about enduring and sticking with that. And for me, it's a good making better use of my time, being more motivated for my business, things like that. But I set a few just simple goals for the new year. My wife and I want to buy a piece of land, any piece of land, even an acre or a half acre somewhere up by Lake Chelan, Washington area, maybe, or some. We're looking at a few different spots, but we just want a spot that we can call our own. Even if it's unimproved. We're looking at old cabins and stuff, and we're looking pretty frugally, you know. I mean, we're not wealthy people. We don't have a lot of money to spend, and but it's just one of those things we've always wanted to do. And like one of my resolutions, I guess last year, in the back of my mind was, of course, to get a school bus. We'd been looking for a long time, and we finally found one. I remodeled it, and now we've had it for about a year. And when you look back on the things that you've done and accomplished in your life, you know, however small they may be, sometimes it's like, damn, how did I have the motivation to even do that at the time? And where can I find some of that right now? The older you get, the more difficult it is to motivate, at least in my experience, to jump out and just do those simple projects, like fixing my car, which has been out of commission for months. It's just a coil pack where the screw stripped out, and I got a screw extractor, and I just haven't done it yet. And of course, I work from home, so it's not like I need to go many places, but still picking up my kids from school, all the simple things. I put off things that I need to do now. So that's one of my New Year's resolutions. I have two simple ones. First off, I want to learn a new song on guitar at least, I was trying to say one a week, even if it's a cover song. I've got my Ibanez 12 string over here that my son bought me for my birthday. And yesterday, I decided to sit down and learn Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd was a part of the video I had made and part of the discussion, so I was watching the Wish You Were Here documentary about the album, and I'm like, the song was written on a 12-string, I'm going to play it, and I'm going to learn it all the way through. And I did. And I said, if I do one a week, you know, one a week, that'd be 50 songs in a year. 52. But, you know, it's simple things that build upon themselves. It's taking small steps to try to improve our lives and to try to do something that we want to do. Now, I've been playing guitar for the past 30 years, and but there were times for 5 years where I didn't even touch a guitar, so it's not like I played the whole time. I'm not that good. Back in the 90s, I was really into playing like Led Zeppelin, Grateful Dead, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Cat Stevens, all the old hippie music. And I got into heavy metal, but I was never an electric guitarist. So acoustic was my thing. In fact, I've had this guitar right here since I was 18 years old. It was like one of my first paychecks. I went down and bought it. It's an Oscar Schmidt Washburn. I bought down at the music store for like 150 bucks, I think. And I've had it ever since. It's a phenomenal guitar. God, I've had it that long. It's insane. Like 25 years. But anyhow, my last goal, and this one is going to be a little more challenging, at least these are my artistic goals. I have a few others: to make more of my jewelry, to market my resin jewelry, to put it up for sale, to actually do something to make an income, because I'm not making the kind of income I would like to. So all of these are little things, but as far as the ones that don't pay, that's why I mentioned guitar. I mean, playing music is something that you have to love. You know, the rock star dream. You know, it's like my brother and I played in a band for a while, and a couple different bands together, and it was great playing music, but it's a tough gig. And no pun intended. So my other goal is to learn to play the keyboard. I woke up on the New Year's Day, and I sat down with the keyboard, and I was watching John Lennon videos, and I said, I'm going to learn Imagine. And I learned the first part of it, and then all of a sudden, just naturally, I just knew where to put my fingers for the second part. And I was like, wow, I can feel it. I'm starting to feel it. It's just going to take time. I've never played piano. I've always wanted to. I learned a few basic chords back in the day to play with my friends, because we had a little band that we were doing, and nobody played keyboard. So, yeah, I mean, it's something that's worth learning to me. And my third non-profitable, at least at the moment, hobby is photography. And I've recently bought like a new bar for my camera that allows me to mount different settings, and then a remote, or different flashes and stuff, and a remote flash so I can do macro photography, because I absolutely love doing photography. But I guess the point is that it's hard to make money off of art and passions. And I don't know, maybe that's where I should go with this video, and just maybe I can consolidate all the thoughts that I had about how difficult it is, to make money off of art. Musicians went through this in the 80s or 60s through the 80s, where you had to have a record label, and that record label was going to strip you. They were going to rip you down and strip out every penny they could from you and give you the bare minimum. And rock stars, rap stars, whoever it may be at the time, had no other choice. Now today you can start your own record label, market things yourself, but still, those marketing agencies just drained them. And it drove the musicians, kind of mad at an age where they were already predisposed to mental illness. And that was really the real point I wanted to cover in yesterday's video, was that a lot of people just chalk it up to, oh, well, another musician dies of a drug overdose. And it's like, it's not that simple. A lot of the times it's much more complicated than that. And it just so happens that the age that people become musicians happens to be the same age where people, their mental illness can kick into effect. And psychedelics can actually bring on schizophrenia if you're already predisposed to it, or other, types of anxiety, depression, a variety of other mental, ailments, if you will. And so these people get the fame hits them quick, and it causes a lot of anxiety. Sure, people revel in the fame. Look at Jim Morrison. You may think, oh, look, he loved it, and he did. But at the beginning, his first show, he faced his band. He faced away from the crowd, because that's how they did it in band practice. It was awkward for him. Eventually, you have to fall into that person. You have to embrace your fans. And at that point, it becomes The Wall gets built, which is Pink Floyd, The Wall. That album is phenomenal in explaining that. And that's what the whole album is about, building up the wall between him and his fans, because it all started when somebody threw something at him, and it just started this whole, he's, cussed at this guy at the concert, and there's a whole history behind Pink Floyd and their story. But Roger Waters, I went and saw The Wall a few years ago when he did it up north in the Tacoma Dome. Phenomenal show. I've never seen a show like that. I mean, they built a whole wall structure, and you can see the video on YouTube. it was just beyond anything I could imagine seeing. That type of eye candy, along with the music of the album I love, you know. But I grew up with it, so, you know, it's something I loved, and I understood that. The fans love the drama. There's always politics within the band. It takes a lot of patience to really make an album, and I guess that's on a final note on this, because I really consolidated that. There's not a lot I can say on that note, but music can be a weapon, and this is why I brought it up as the whole FBI thing, and how they look into and investigate, like COINTELPRO, within these bands, these musicians, where they're trying to label them rabble-rousers and troublemakers, because they can bring a whole crowd of people to tears and control the emotions of millions of people. That is a very powerful tool that can also cause you to withdraw. Like Jerry Garcia, the teddy bear. I mean, he was a nice guy. He was calm, cool and collected most of the time. He did his best to avoid addiction, in and out of rehab. A lot of people just say, oh, he's just another fucking junkie hippie. You know, it's not that simple. God, dude, the guy had 25 years of people, like, in awe, you know, at him. And so a lot of bands, anyway, use that power as kind of a political influence, like the Doors did. And they had Gerald Scarfe, who was their artist, and he did all the work, I think, for The Wall. Phenomenal political, very poignant, and to, you know, very critical to the system. And on the album Wish You Were Here, which was dedicated to Syd Barrett, there was a song called The Machine, and the machine represents that, any machine, if you will, that, you know, the whole of life. A lot of folks think of it as like industry or progress, but the machine is life itself. We're born into this world, and we just get spit back out. We don't know why. We don't know how. We do our best to understand it. And in today's atmosphere, it's very difficult to know what's even real, what matters, whether there's going to be a future at all. And so maybe setting, you know, New Year's resolutions for anything, you know, just seems kind of like a kind of a silly thing to even talk about, really, in today's atmosphere, with all the tensions in the world. There's so much going on that one of my main resolutions is to not talk about bullshit politics, to avoid getting into what's going on with... I can't help but read and see what's happening in the world, but you know, I can't let it affect me. I can't let the fact that we're going into a war every other year, you know, and what happened with Iran the other day, and now, you know, there's just always some political tension, and I just look at humanity as a whole and think, man, can't we do better? I mean, can't we all start the new year out with a handshake and just say, okay, we're all different. Life goes on. But only if you allow yourself to live it, right? There's just so much hate and vitriolic, you know, this animosity toward one another, and this extreme tribalism right now, that it's hard not to talk about it. So one of my, I guess, even in a video about New Year's resolutions in music, I have to bring it up. It's like you cannot avoid it. Sure, you can ignore it, but, you know, sometimes when I talk about politics or strife in the world, there will be one subscriber who will be like, oh, you should just stick to talking about philosophy, or you should just stick to your herbs or whatnot. You shouldn't get into politics. And I say, you know, bullshit. We are all involved in politics. Life is politics. There are politics in the family, politics within your own relationships at work. It's endless. We're constantly immersed in it. And the fact that everything that's happening in the world is affecting me, you know, all the laws and regulations, you know, you got to pay attention, but you don't have to let it consume you. So I definitely, you know, have a resolution to not let it affect me emotionally. But there are some things you just can't help. And to tie that in with music, I would say that music can help you really feel emotionally charged towards issues in the world. And that's where I'd love to give credit to punk rock. Punk rock does a great job at exposing corruption, as well as heavy metal. Because I'm not just a hippie, fish head, deadhead. I listened to Slayer, I listened to Metallica and Megadeth when I was a kid, and I got into Overkill and all these 80s bands, and then moved through Pantera phase. And I listened to a lot of hip-hop and rap, too. Huge fan of Eminem, and I don't want to get too much into all the details of what I like, but I just don't like it when music works against itself. And in the rap industry, a lot of rap works against itself. A lot of rap works against the black community by the kind of bullshit that they talk about. Just, promoting violence and guns, drugs, hoes. It's not the ones that talk about this. I listened to Too Short back in the day. It's the ones who are saying it as if they're embracing it and cherishing it as some great value to have, that you have a lot of money and that you can wear frivolous gold chains. This is the same as, the white community and their silver platters and their fancy jewelry, Each culture has its own view of what wealth is. And I'd like to see a future where maybe wealth isn't celebrated so much as wealth of character. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. Talk to y'all later.